was the last time you did something for the first time? You remember that feeling of hesitation. Maybe you're not ready. Perhaps you're not good enough. You doubt yourself. It's a long road ahead. And right now you think, safe is a good place to be. You take a step back, but in doing so, you see the whole picture. You remember the stakes you were brave enough to take. So you shout at the unknown no longer, because you are your own master. You rise up, because you know you're not alone. Because you stand on the shoulders of the ones before you. And through them you realize you are more afraid of not trying than failing. They hold your hand, lead you to the peak of your potential. And once on top, you take the leap and do it. The first time you flew and tasted freedom. The first time you went the extra mile and never looked back. The first time you understood that something so small could change the course of your future. The first time you put yourself first. At FirstMetroAsset, we value you and your achievements. As we navigate through this better normal together, we are here to help you cherish your firsts and make those moments last.
Happy Friday and payday to our viewers. Ayan, we're live again this Friday afternoon. And welcome to Ka-FAMi-Ly, your go-to guide to mutual fund investing. My name is Ingrid Cruz. I'm a training associate at FAMi and your host this afternoon. Ayan, so before anything else, we just wanted to say thank you to our viewers. Ayan, the new one and the old ones. Thank you for joining us and allowing us to help you in your investment journey. Ayan. So please comment down below kung saan kayo nag-watch this Friday afternoon and feel free to ask any questions because one lucky viewer will win a prize from us. Just ask a question with the hashtag FamiLive. Ayan. Syempre, every Fami FB Live, you want to make it more exciting. Kaya stay tuned. Baka ikaw na pala ang makaka-receive ng exclusive items from Fami. Ayan. Ayan. Hi, Love Alex, hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's FB Live. So, bago ko ipakilala ang speaker natin this afternoon, let's have a review first on what we discussed on our last FAMi Live. That is determining what type of investor you are based on your risk profile. So before, Maureen Segura or Mao, our relationship manager in Cebu, she discussed on our last session the different types of investors. Ayan, may 3 types daw tayo ng investors. So we have the conservative investors. So ito yung mga investors na gusto nila mag-grow yung money nila but not too much in a sense na low risk as much as possible ang gusto nilang investment. And whereas we have our aggressive investors like me, kami or sila naman yung mga willing to take a higher risk for a higher potential return. And of course, they usually invest for long term. Okay? And lastly, of course, we have our moderate investors. Sila yung tipong willing magkaroon ng medium risk for potential high return. So usually they invest in a combination of stocks and also fixed income instruments. So speaking of stocks and fixed income instruments, we also discuss the different types of mutual funds. So we have the money market fund, the fixed income fund, the balance fund, and also the equity fund. So I want it too much because our speaker this afternoon will talk about it more. So let's all relax, learn, and enjoy with us as we discuss your financial goals and how do we really fit these goals to different investment vehicles. Ayan, today we are live with our speaker, Ray Alba, a senior relationship manager in FAMi, based naman in Davao. Ayan, Ray has more than 15 years of experience in the mutual fund industry, and he is a certified investment solicitor, a chartered wealth manager, a registered financial planner, registered estate planner, and a certified trust professional. Ayan, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Ray Alba. Good afternoon, Ray.
Well, good afternoon, Ingrid. No, thank you for introducing me. I am again Ray Alba. I'm the Senior Relationship Manager for FirstMetroAsset based in Davao. So sa mga taga Davao nga nagkatanaw karon, maayong hapon sa inyong tanan, no? And again, thank you for tuning in, no? So there's actually so much in store for us today. And just like Miss Ingrid mentioned earlier, the previous episode, no, that was aired last month by my colleague Maureen, no, she discussed what mutual fund is, no, how it works, no, the advantages. So I guess alam na natin kung ano yung mutual fund. And also they identified the different types of risk profile, which I think is very important in choosing the right investments. Okay? So since we'll be discussing more about investments, I would like to begin this with a question. No? Why do we need to invest? Okay? Bakit kailangan natin mag-ipon? No? So yun yung malaking question. And I can actually cite two answers for that. No? First, again, no, we have to beat inflation. Lagi natin naririnig, no? Lagi natin yan nababasa sa news, no? The inflation, no? Tumataas yung presyo ng bilihin is because of inflation and we lose the purchasing power of our money if it goes up. That's why we need to invest, no? And interest nowadays sa banko is very low, no? So again, those are the reason why we need to invest. Gone are the days na double-digit yung performance or double-digit yung interest na binibigay ng banko. If you were born, no, nung time ng 1970s or 1980s, kumbaga, no, you can actually live on interest alone by that time kasi the interest rate can go as high as 15 to 30%. No? So who needs wealth management or investment that time or even financial advisors kasi sa interest alone pa lang, buhay na buhay ka na. But right now, it's totally different, no? Gone are the days that double-digit yung return. Right now, it's single-digit na lang, no? So those are some of the reasons why we need to invest. And another reason is because we have what we call financial goals. Okay? Lahat ba may mga financial goals? I guess meron tayong mga financial goals, di ba? So goals, these are actually goals that we want to achieve in the future. No? Example of these goals are buying a car, no? Buying a house, or even a comfortable retirement soon. So those are the reasons why we need to invest. We need to achieve those financial goals by investing. So speaking of financial goals, so setting your financial goals is actually an important step, no, towards becoming financially secure. Do you agree? I guess everybody agrees with me, no? So since we all have these goals, no, several financial ones, we cannot just simply have them all at once, okay? We have to prioritize this. No? We have to classify this in either into short-term, medium-term, or even long-term financial goals para we would know what to prioritize. We would know what to expect, no? Kung ano yung pagtuunan natin ng pansin, ano yung pagtutuunan natin ng time and even money. Okay? So kasi, if you're not working into something or anything in specific, then most likely you'll end up spending more than you should. Diba? Tama? No? Kasi if you don't have goals in mind or anything that you want to achieve or even identify kung alin doon yung short-term or medium-term or long-term goals that you have, then all those hard-earned money will be most likely be spent into something not that important. Kumbaga gastos lang kayo ng gastos. Then by the time comes that you really need something, no, or pay off something, no, or like for example unexpected bills ba, you'll end up short or worse, end up in debt, no, utang, and we don't want that, right? No? Example of this, you want to retire comfortable, no, a comfortable lifestyle, then do something about it. You can actually achieve this by properly setting this as a goal and then looking for ways, no, to achieve this dream. And the answer is by saving up and correctly matching your savings into the right investments. short-term financial goals. These are actually goals that you want to achieve within the next few weeks or even months, no, or even a year, or it is something that you want to do, with your money in the near term. Okay? So example of this is setting up a budget. Okay? So a budget, you have to set aside something for, let's say, electricity bills ba or internet bills pa. No? So kasi it's important when you set something aside a money for this. No? Kasi kung by the time comes dumating yung bill mo tapos wala kang na set aside money to pay for that bill, shock, mapuputulan tayo ng kuryente, and we don't want that. And another important short-term financial goal that you have to set aside is emergency fund. Now, this is very important kasi um, if you're going to set up an emergency fund, no, this is for let's say, for example, unexpected travel or medical emergencies that will arise, di ba? So you have to set aside something for that. And worse, no, let's say, for example, job loss, no, income loss, no. So you have to set aside some money for that, no. So when you say emergency fund, sabi nga nila, no, it should be equivalent to at least 3 to 6 months of your basic living expenses. So it's important to identify your short-term goals and be prepared for it. Another thing is the medium-term, medium-term financial goal. So these are goals that you want to achieve in months or years to come. An example of this is you want to save up something for you want to buy a car someday, no? You want to become financially independent and you want to buy your own house. No? So you have to set aside something. You have to set aside money and invest something to achieve those kind of dreams. No? And lastly is the long-term financial goals that we have. No? This is the bigger picture now. So these are actually distant goals that needs regular attention or even more money, and time, because these goals may take time, to achieve, and you should be prepared for it. Best example of this would be saving up for your retirement. Okay? Sooner or later, magre-retire ka talaga, and work will not be permanent. Okay? So, you need to be prepared for your retirement. Question, no? Sino dito yung gusto mag-retire comfortably? Meron bang magsa-thumbs up? Okay. So I guess lahat tayo, no, we want to really to retire comfortably. Sino bang gusto mag-retire na nga? Ayaw natin 'yun, right? No? Or worse, pag nag-retire ka, ang ginawa mong retirement fund mo, yung mga anak mo, which is actually in reality nangyayari 'yan, no? Nag-retire ka, you did not prepare for your own retirement, tapos yung anak mo tuloy yung naging retirement fund. No? So we want to cut that vicious cycle. No? So again, we have to prepare for our own retirement. And since now that we have defined what are these short-term, medium-term, and long-term financial goals, we now have to identify ano yung mga best investment instruments out there that is available in the market, that will support your goals. No? Ang daming investment vehicles out there that you can actually choose from, except for investment scams. Those are not legit investments. Di ba? Well, just to tell you honestly, madaming Pilipino right now na nagiging victim pa rin ng investment scams. No? Kasi nga, tayo nasa ugali na natin yung parang get quick rich mentality, di ba? Pag napakitaan lang tayo ng higher return, too good to be true, medyo masisilaw na tayo, no? So again, just a gentle reminder to investors, no? If you want to look for an investment, you have to know what type of investment is that. You have to do all your own research. Is this legit? Okay? So again, para hindi tayo ma-scam ng investment. So ngayon, no, since we're talking of investment instruments, I'll be discussing what we call marketable securities. Ano itong mga marketable securities, no, na sinasabi? When you say marketable securities, these are actually type of investments or instruments that can be easily liquidated into cash. No? Example of this would be time deposit, no? Treasury bills, commercial papers. No? So these are actually safe investments, no, and can be easily liquidated into cash. It can be withdrawn anytime as well. So these are actually investments that is designed for short term. No? So, pero itong mga short-term investments na to, syempre, low yung risk, di ba? Sa risk-reward spectrum nga, di ba? The lower the risk, the lower the reward. So, itong mga klaseng investments na to, since low yung risk, do not expect a higher reward for this. Okay? So you have to look for investments that would match. No? So ngayon, another investment that I will be discussing would be the bonds. No? There are different types of bonds. No? We have the government bonds, government securities, no? Corporate securities. No? So these are evidences of indebtedness, meaning mga these are actually pagkakautang, no? Kumbaga kung ang government would want to expand, no, or a corporation would want to expand, they offer bonds. And you buy those bonds. Kumbaga ikaw nagpautang ka mismo ng pera mo sa kanila. And you will be actually earning interest in a form of coupons, no? So ngayon, dito, no, these are actually guaranteed. Why? Because these are fixed income generating instruments, no? So, and guaranteed siya in a sense na when you say government bonds or government securities, no, mababayaran talaga yung pagkakautang nila sa iyo. Why? Because no, the government has the power to print money or even collect taxes, di ba? And the same with corporations, these are actually safe investments as well, no? So, those are the type of investment that can actually support your medium-term financial goals. Another investment, good investment, would be stocks, no, or equity stock, no? Familiar naman po tayo siguro on how the stock market works, right? So if you want to invest in the stocks, meaning you're actually buying shares of that company, okay? So you're actually buying a slice of ownership of that company. And you can either earn either through stock dividend, cash dividend, or even capital appreciation, di ba? Rule of thumb in investing in stock market is you have to buy low and you have to sell it high. Di ba? So kung binili mo ng piso, benta mo ng 5 pesos. Nagkikita ka, right? So, yun po, no? Those are types of investments. Pero in stock market investing, medyo mataas yung risk, no? So, the price may go up and down, no? It's very fluctuating, it's volatile. Madaming factors that will affect the performance of a stock price, no? It can either be through market condition, economic news, madami, no? Pero, again, this is an investment that is designed for long term. No? So, madami pang mga investment instruments out there available in the market. Let's say, derivatives, no? UITFs, but I'm not going to discuss all of those things. I will just focus on those marketable securities that I've discussed. So, again, now that we have these goals in mind na, and now we know that different types of investment instruments, no, still may mga questions pa rin hovering our mind. No, madami pa rin tayong questions. Let's say mga questions like, oo nga, meron akong goals. Paano ko ito ngayon i-connect or i-correctly match with the different investments? Or how can I avail of a bond? Or if ever like I'm going to invest in a stock market, how am I going to buy and sell it? No, what's the perfect timing? So those are kind of questions na legit naman na questions, no, as an investor. So meaning an investment can be complicated if you do not have the knowledge, no? If you do not have the time, if you do not have the expertise or even the funds, no? Investing can be complicated. That's why, no, we have what we call mutual funds. Okay? Bakit? No, because those things that I've discussed, those marketable securities that I have discussed, ito yung mga laman mismo ng mutual fund. No? We have bonds, we have equities, we have commercial papers, T-bills, or even cash in banks. That is a combination of different asset classes, no? That you can actually found inside a mutual fund. Okay, and this mutual fund, no, can actually be a tool, no, for you to be able to achieve whatever financial goals that you have. Mutual funds can be good for investors who are beginners pa lang, or investors na may fear of investing directly in stocks kasi parang wala nga silang knowledge, no? Pero through mutual fund, no, it takes the headache away from you, kumbaga, because there are fund managers who are actually, no, giving their expertise and the knowledge and making that money grow over time. So now that we know the different types of funds, di ba? The different types of financial goals that we have, and even the instruments, and ngayon, na-discuss ko yung mutual fund. So I guess it steers a little bit of curiosity na sa atin ngayon. Ano kaya yung mga mutual funds, no? Sa FAMi or First Metro Asset Management, we are what we call family of funds. We have different funds that could cater to your different investment objectives. It can either be short-term, it can either be medium-term, or it can either be a long-term type of investment. So we have funds designed for that. No? So, I guess lahat curious kung ano yung mga funds na yon. But, no, I have to discuss all of those funds in our next episode, next November 26th. So you have to stay tuned and watch that episode, next episode that we're going to have, because I will be discussing the different types of mutual funds. So again, thank you for listening to my presentation.
Ayan, thank you so much, Ray, for discussing all of these goals and also the different types of investment vehicles we can venture into. And of course, how do we fit these goals to different investment vehicles? And I hope it was helpful to you as much as we hope. And now let's move on to our Q&A. Ayan, meron na tayong mga nasubmit na questions. There's this question from Sel. I'm in my 40s. Is it too late to start my retirement fund? And good afternoon, Sel.
Ayun, coming from Michelle, the question. Ayun, thank you for that question. No? That's a good question. If you are 40s and you want to start up your retirement fund, it's never too late. Okay? Investing, you can never investing. You can start actually even if you're in your 40s already. You can start your investment. Pa rin, no? It's never too late. No? So you can actually choose the right investments. No? Again, if you're already at this stage, no, you have to know your risk profile as well. Okay? You have to know ano yung risk appetite mo para you can choose the right investments for you. Because kung let's say for example, nasa 40s ka tapos gusto mo mag set up ng retirement pero syempre, di ba, if you want to jump into let's say for example, very volatile or very risky type of investments, then those are not fitted for the faint-hearted type of investors, no? You have to look for investments that is going to be suited for you, no? Pero, syempre, since this is for retirement, no, kailangan din natin ng investment that has potential higher return para by the time when you retire, syempre, we want to retire comfortably.
Alright, thank you, Ray, for answering that. Ayan, ang susunod naman na question is related to education plan. Ayan, sabi niya, I have, from C. De La Cruz, and good afternoon. I have a 2-year-old kid now, and how do I start with her education plan?
Well, again, that's another good question, no? Especially now if you have a kid, tapos you're already thinking about an educational plan, no? And through investment, no, you want to fund that educational plan. So meaning you are actually thinking of a long-term goal already, di ba? So how to fund that? How are you going to start that, no? Just like what I've mentioned earlier to the first who asked the question when he's going to put up his retirement. Parang ganun lang din yun. You have to look for an investment instrument that is, let's say, designed for long-term. Siyempre, 2 years old pa yung anak natin. And siyempre, may ilang years pa yan para magka-college, right? So, kailangan natin ng investment na long-term kasi despite the volatilities or up and down of this performance ng investment na to, in the long run, no, you'll actually reap the benefits. Okay? So by the time na pag nag-college yung anak natin, then you have enough fund to fund for the education.
Ayan, thank you. Ayan, I think this is related naman sa retirement years. The next question will be from Sir Cecilio. Ayan, he mentioned that his mother is in a senior na. Ayan, 76 years old. Ayan, so good afternoon. I hope your mother is watching as well. And the question is, what kind of funds or savings that can be applicable to her? Ayan.
Well, again, another good question for ganyan, for 76-year-old person na gustong mag-set aside ng money, no? I would suggest you go for a conservative fund na, no? Kasi diyan, syempre, no, ito yung investments na hindi masyadong magalaw, no? You can actually sleep well at night, no? Kumbaga. So, dito, yung investment natin, syempre, it should have a performance that is, in terms of risk, hindi ganun ka-volatile. No? So, if your mother is already 76 years old and meron siyang pera na he wants to set aside, no, for an investment, I would suggest you go for either bond funds or even balance fund. Kung gusto niyo man talaga ng potential high return, at least itong balance fund na that I'm going to discuss is it's a combination of a bonds and stocks. So it has a potential high return because of the equity portion, and at the same time it has bonds that can cushion, no, the volatilities of the equities. So yun po yung pwede natin ma-suggest that you can actually pwede natin i-suggest sa mga mo na investment.
Yeah, for the balance fund, I think it could be for longer term then kasi this could be your legacy as well to your family, diba?
Yes.
Ayan. Okay, for the next question from from ito naman batang-bata from Lloyd Breton. Ayan, good PM, good afternoon Sir Lloyd. Ayan, I'm 18 years old and what kind of investment vehicle do you recommend for an 18 years old the student?
Okay. For an 18-year-old though, I would suggest you go for long-term type of investment. You go for equities kasi medyo mahaba pa yung time natin. No, and at the same time, yung risk profile natin medyo nasa aggressive tayo na portion. With that at that age, okay? So pwede natin yung risk, no, is actually kaya natin siya i-take, no? So I think yung pwede natin na masuggest, no, for an 18-year-old, no, you can actually go for investments na mayroong stocks na laman, no, or equities na laman. You can go for either an equity fund, no, or you can even directly invest in stock market if you want to. No? So, yun. That's for aggressive type of investors.
Okay, yan. So, medyo short na tayo sa time. But, ayan. Ito na last question natin for this afternoon. But don't worry because we will answer the other questions and we'll send it to your FB chat directly. Ayan. So, expect a message from us so that we could answer your questions. But, this is from Miss Marilyn. Ayan. Her question is, what are the list of companies where FAMi invest in? Ayan.
The list of companies, no?
Or even maybe we could for the sectors that we invest in.
So sa FAMi, no, we are in terms of investing, we are very we have a team of fund managers. No? We have a team who studies the market. And we don't just invest into different types of investments lang na hindi pinag-aaralan kung if it's going to give us return, right? No? So in terms of companies, kumbaga, no, it's changing. No? It can change yung portfolio. But the good thing about in the mutual fund, no, or FAMi, no, we are actually invested into different types of sectors. No? We are present into different types of industries as well. No? So meaning here, sa funds pa lang natin, is that since this is being managed professionally by fund managers, no, they know what sectors, what industry is actually best suited for that fund to really perform well. No? So ngayon, in terms of, let's say, example lang ito, we have our fund, which is the consumer fund, no, which is an equity fund. But this is actually focused on consumer stocks, diba? Which is right now is really benefiting because of the pandemic, right? So again, yung fund managers natin are actually investing into these types of stocks, no, that are actually giving us good returns as well. So it will reflect on the performance of the fund.
Okay, thank you, Sir Ray. And again, if you want to know more about us and also our funds, we have our website that is fami.com.ph. Ayan, doon yung makikita lahat ng sectors or the top companies that we invested because we have a fund fact sheet and also prospectus of our mutual funds in FAMi. Ayan. So, good afternoon na lang to Richard and to Sir Felix. Ayan, we will send the answers in your chat box. Ayan. So, huwag kayong mag-alala because we'll surely answer this question. So, that's it for our Q&A. And make sure you follow us on our social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at FirstMetroAsset. And you may also join our exclusive FAMi email list to receive practical financial tips straight to your inbox. So just scan the QR code found here, and to get to know more about us again, ayan, wag niyo kakalimutan na meron kaming website, that is www.fami.com.ph. And before we wrap up, Ray, may additional tips or advice ka ba sa ating mga viewers this afternoon?
Again, thank you, Miss Ingrid. No, before we end our episode today, I hope I have imparted my knowledge, no, to you guys about financial goals. At the same time, the different types of investment instruments out there available, no, in the market. So again, let me leave you with this quote. No? It's not how much you make, no, but how much you keep, how hard it's worked for you, and how many generations you will keep it for. So meaning lang nito, in the course of building our wealth, no, it's not how much you make that's important. No, it's how much you keep, or how much money that you set aside. Because we have to remember that without savings there can be no investment. Okay? And without investment, there can be no growth. That's all. Thank you.
Ayan. So this has been Ingrid, and again, joined with us today is Ray Alba from Davao, our relationship manager in Davao. So happy Friday, everyone. And again, thank you for tuning in this afternoon. And I hope isa kayo sa manalo in our prizes for the well, those who sent their questions in. Ayan. So see you on our next FAMi FB Live.